Welcome to Gab Sessions with Stephanie Marie, aka Gabbie. This is a space where we talk business, growth, and the messy middle of entrepreneurship, with a little real life mixed in. Every week, I'll bring you clarity, confidence, and momentum to help you create your version of success. Grab your coffee and let's dive in. Karen, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm really excited about this conversation. I have dedicated starting to do interviews with women that are shaking up the world and making a huge difference with a mission. And so I'm so excited to have you here, and I want to thank you for agreeing to talk to the audience and share what your mission is and everything there is about you. So again, thank you.
Well, thank
And
you for having me.
yes, absolutely. So I like to start this off with, how did you know this is what you wanted to do? And when I say this, kind of tell us what this is, because you are quite the global world changer.
Yeah, I didn't know, this was a hostage situation. It was a hostage situation when it started. It's a hostage situation all the way through. And the book, somebody was like, tell us how you wrote the book. I was like, I'm a hostage author. There's points in life that just demand your full blown attention. And so in the beginning, in the 90s, when my son was identified with a disability, it wasn't an option. You know this, raising kids and grandkids. When life happens, it doesn't say we'll do it between 8 and 5 Monday through Friday Central Standard Time. No, it demands your attention. And when my son was identified with a disability, I knew that I had to advocate for him, because that's what parents do. We advocate for our kiddos. And then out of that birthed, starting to boss people around. I mean, advocate for people. And because I'm very justice driven. I just want people to do what's right. And I just assumed when I started out this process with my son in special education in America, like that would be a non-issue, right? I'm going to send him across the street. They're going to do special education services, catch him up. And I had no idea that this was such a broken system. Albeit federally funded, it's still a broken system. And so I just wanted to resolve that. I was just going to get in and resolve it for my son. But then I realized this need was pervasive. It was for all parents. And then I realized teachers needed support. And so it was something I couldn't ever shake. In the beginning, there were times I did it more and less. And I always say that out of my greatest pain, God birthed my biggest ministry. And if it hadn't been pain, I wouldn't have done it, right? I was going to sit in my salon on like Travis and talk about people and then put them on the prayer list on Wednesday night and, just have a regular middle American life. This was not on my vision board. And then becoming a special education advocate, it's very polarizing. I had no idea how polarizing it was. But at the end of the day, my job is to talk about uncomfortable truths in a way that people keep listening. And so I've worked on, honing my skills in that area, whether it's the law, whether it's negotiation, whether it's data-driven solutions. And so, this is the thing that I was put on the earth to do. And all of those things had to disrupt my world for me to do it. And even last night, as this, we're coming closer to the launch of the book, I'm just so humbled and overwhelmed that God would use me to serve families and to serve schools and serve students.
Perfect. So you talk about the process and these things. Like, can you talk about a little bit about like what you have done? Because there's several pieces to from the beginning of, you've thrown into this. So what this is, and then those pieces, because you are able to do things that some self-proclaimed advocates cannot do. Can you talk a little bit about the bits and pieces that have gotten us to quote the book, and then let's talk about the book.
Yeah. So, I first was advocating and learning, for myself to serve James. And then I was going to help a couple of people. And I've always been a leader, still working on my leadership skills. Sometimes I'm a leader, sometimes I'm bossy. I'm working on that. And I just saw this need for people to be equipped. And I've always been an equipper. I want people to have the information. I might do it a little bumpy and a little, bull in the china hutch, but I want people to have what they need to be successful. And I just saw this massive gap that was just unbelievable to me in the special education process. You know this, I'm preaching to the choir, but it's such a struggle when you have a child with exceptionalities or disabilities or differences. And I didn't realize that school was going to be another fight. Parents are already fighting with the insurance company. And can I get the medicine that goes in his G tube? And can I deal with the insurance because this pump is not working? I never thought in my brain I would have to go and fight the school. And, parents all over when we train describe it as a fight. And so I didn't want it to be a fight. I just figured when there's a problem, I always think there is a solution. And so we have this amazing federal law that allows equity and access and inclusion for kids with disabilities. We have state and federal funding. We have these amazing educators. And I wanted to figure out where the chasm was. And so very early on, advocating for myself and then, picking up some people along the way and then more people and then more people. I thought, well, I just need to train a few people. I'll just train a few people in Austin and then we'll be good. Right. I'll just train them and send them off. But it didn't work that way. It just kept the need and the reach just kept growing. The more people that I taught and presentations I gave just showed another level of education that needed to happen, whether it was service providers or private providers or the guy that adjusts your wheelchair. And so I just began growing this space and learning more and more about special education. And then we had this little hiccup called the pandemic. I don't know if you remember. It was Friday the 13th, March 13th, 2020. And our governor came on and said, schools are closed. And in that moment, I knew that I was unemployed because my job was to go into school districts all day long and represent parents in IEP meetings. And I just thought, my world is over. It's sometimes
Right.
when you think something's over, it's like the next big thing is coming. And I didn't know the next big thing was coming. My boys went to Ace Hardware and they got me an Ethernet cord. I thought it was witchcraft. I didn't know what it was. But they take the ether and the net and they put it together, and that's how you get electricity or something. I don't know. And so from there, my reach and my message and my sermon got to go. I thought it was for parents in Texas, really in Houston, but maybe Texas, and then outside of Texas. And then the need is the same everywhere. And so what I thought was the end of something was the birthing of something. And so every weekday night, because I don't know how to do anything a little bit, I overcommit. And hopefully sometimes I over deliver. And every weeknight at 9 o'clock at night, after I put on some more Tarte concealer, I would sit in the corner of my bedroom and go, well, this is a lie. This is a lie. This is the truth. This is who you email. And I just did that. Still just thinking that I was helping people and just still thinking about, the clients that I served. And then people would call and go, well, can you advocate in Alabama? I'm like, I don't know if that's allowed under Texas law. And then I was like, yeah, sure. And we would just jump on meetings and the thing kept growing. And so we started with you. I was so blessed to have you in my life and your beautiful daughter, your grandsons. And we started Special Education Academy in the spring of 2021. And in my little brain, I thought, well, this will help the parents with kids with special needs. And that's the good thing about our little tiny view is it's never as big as the universe and God has for you. And it's just grown into this endless need of everyone that sits at the IEP table to be equipped and served. And so pretty quickly after that, you and I, we started training people to become professional advocates. And then we had them become partners with us. And it was a blessing. We get to train them up, and then when they're ready, send them out of the nest. And it just keeps growing. As soon as I think, well, that's it. It's this thing, and it just keeps going. And I'm just so excited about the whole thing.
Right. So it has been quite a journey when we look at it
I know.
because there were times where I was like, "Are you sure that's okay? That's what you want to do? Okay, let's do it."
Yeah.
Because I think because you looked at it, so just, oh, it's just right here with Texas, or it's
Yeah.
just right here. We put the pieces together and you were just focused on the one thing, and the one thing was equipping whoever sits at the table.
Yeah.
That's always been the focus and continues to be the
Yeah.
focus. And so it has expanded into, what's next.
What's
And
next is
so let's talk about it.
I am 9 months pregnant at 60 years old, um, with a baby book. And when I tell you, you can bookmark this, you can keep it, you can put it in a floppy disk. This book will be an international bestseller. I wasn't planning on writing this book. I was never planning on writing anything. I'm a talker, 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 talker. The things that I've written down, I can't even find them. And everybody kept saying, you know, write this down. And my current partners are very demanding, which is why I love them. And they were like, when are you going to write it down? When are you going to make the book? And so it has been this labor of love for the last 13 months, and very honored with, you know, that I'm being represented by Simon and Schuster and Mission Different Press and Forefront Books. And this book is going to change the world. And it's a book of hope. It's a book of possibility. I want and know that it's going to re-energize and refocus people on their love for serving kids with disabilities.
So the book, right now, can people get the book?
You just go to your favorite book fulfillment center and pre-order it and come back to the epic-iep.com and put in your information. It will release $500 worth of pre-order bonuses. So in just 63 days, I will be holding the book in a little swaddle and it will be here. I don't know if I'm having a book baby shower. I'll have to talk to Stephanie about that. And we've already started lining up. Literally last night, we lined up 4 dates in Kentucky where we're doing events and book signings. And so if that's something that you're interested in, us coming and doing an event in your area, we will be at the Barnes and Nobles and Books a Million. And just as soon as I think that I've figured out what it was, we had an amazing call today with an international entity. What? And they said, well, you're bigger than our entity. I'm like, what? And so, you know, the fact that I get to be a voice for everybody at the table is what it's about, right?
Right.
You know, advocate is the word means to speak up for somebody that can't speak up for themselves. And I want to champion advocates and parents and educators because most of them don't have a voice that's listened to, received, or partnered with.
Right, right. So we're all very excited about the book. We've been in the trenches with the book.
Yes.
Everything you've done has been just absolutely amazing and needed and first to market in my terms from the business side of it. Like you were first to do this in your space, or at least the first to be heard. I think that is part of the process. And with this process that you've experienced as a mom, what is the one thing you wish you would have been told as a parent in the very beginning, like to your younger self? What's the message to your younger self? But it's also for those parents that are just entering this because it's not a short adventure by any stretch.
No, I wish somebody had told me that they needed me to be part of the process. Because as a young mom with a crushing, falling apart marriage, 2 young kids at home, I had so much shame around everything that was going on in my life, including my son being identified with a disability. And I felt like when I went on those meetings, it was just another setting where I was in trouble, just another setting where James was a problem. And nobody told me you're valuable and we value your child. I don't know that they didn't think that, but I was never told that, nor did I feel that. And I want parents to know that their input is not a couple of sentences in the deliberations, but I want them to know that when this federal law was passed December 2nd, 1975, that the parent was seen as the primary informer to serve schools and populate this amazing program for the student to succeed.
Perfect. Perfect. And I know that you are often on many different stages. And
Yes.
so can you talk about that a little bit? Because I think people, they hear you as special. You mentioned a couple times that you're the boss, and you are. We have trademarked special education boss. So you truly are the boss. You've earned that. And I think it's funny when you say that you're working on not being so bossy. Hey, we've trademarked that. That
Yes.
belongs to you.
Yes.
I don't think many people can say that. But what kind of stages do you get on now to broaden the mission of people hearing? Because advocacy will always be, what would you say, the foundation of it all.
Yeah.
But what other things are you currently doing that provide people with a voice or with the knowledge that they need to have a voice?
Yeah. So kind of looking back at it as we, getting ready for the book, you look at all of the seeding that we have done for many years, right?
Right.
Lots of pro bono stages, lots of little in-home meetings for parents. But I do professional development. We do national agencies. We do the agency that supports states for parents' resources. We've been going to Capitol Hill recently a lot. And so we are available to come and train you virtually, in person, because the need is endless. It really is endless. We have 8.5 million children in America with an IEP. And then you figure out all those people that serve them, the parents, the physical therapists, the principal, the teachers, all of those people desperately need this information because they don't have it. And
Hmm.
so we are booking those out and have done those for many years because people need a voice with joy and hope and a little bit of levity, because this is a very serious space and it can be draining. And so we train people in all of those spaces at the state level, nationally, and for agencies and parent advocacy groups.
Right, right. Perfect. Thank you. So if anybody is wanting to get you in front of their audience, whether it is school-based members, if it is a family group, or even a government setting, how can they do that?
Just go to our website, Special Education Academy, and it has an intake form right there, and we will get you connected with the right person on our team to get that process started for y'all.
Perfect. And in closing, what would you like to share with us? Anything. I love because I always want to make sure I haven't missed something that you're just wanting to share. But I mean, really, I'm so excited about your book. I'm excited about what you have done. You've been a blessing in my family's life. And I look forward to what's next. And so maybe that is part of it. What is next after the book? Like, is it book two?
We will be in our the Epic IEP book tour stage era for a while, like maybe years. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, people have asked me, and I've been doing so many podcasts recently. If there was one thing you'd leave people, what would it be? And it would be that whoever you are in that child's life, you're exactly equipped to who you need to be. And celebrate them, celebrate yourself. You have everything that you need, however, you're at the table, and continue to work on serving kiddos and seeing them for exactly how amazing they are.
Oh, thank you. That's awesome. Well, again, I want to thank you for joining me and for sharing your experience, your pain, but then your knowledge, your tenacity, you being a bull in a china store, and you being the boss because you're leading the helm. And I just want to say thank you from my family. And I know there's a lot of families out there that want to tell you thank you. Looking forward to the book tour and getting a personally signed copy. So
Yes,
thank you.
absolutely. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for listening to Gab Sessions with Stephanie Marie. If today's episode gave you clarity, confidence, or momentum, hit subscribe and share it with a friend who needs it too. Want to go deeper? You can join me inside Business Growth Society or email me at stephaniemarie@gabbie&company to see how we can work together. Remember, stop overthinking, start building, and create your version of success. I'll see you next time.